Hi guys, so I have the pleasure of sitting down with someone who's built a reputation for helping struggling agents who may not be in the best financial situation and turning them into top producers, right? Alexis Valladares is a top performing realtor who turned sales coach, right? Um, Trained thousands of agents and given them, practical but repeatable systems when it comes to cold calling that actually helps agents land listings. He leads the Valladares Real Estate Academy and Inner Circle community, where thousands plug into his playbooks, coaching calls, and step-by-step frameworks. On the production side, he's not just teaching it, guys. He's actually done it, right? With tens of millions in closed in volume and dozens of transactions on the board. If you want clearer scripts, stronger follow-up systems and strategies, and a roadmap to your first six figures in GCI when it comes to this business, this conversation is for you. Alexis, thank you for being here, bro. How you doing?
I love the intro, bro. I want to make sure I always like clarifying that I was in production. I no longer do it, and it's super important for me to emphasize that because I think it's important to have focus on what you're doing. And I want people to know that if you hire me and my community to help you, my priority is you, not me. That's why I'm a coach now. So I like that you said that. Very important. I did it. I did it at a very high level. I did it very fast, and obviously, what I care more about is having people come into the community and say, I did it too because of not just me, but the community and what we built.
Yeah, 1,000%, man. And I'm glad that you pointed that out. Which leads me to this. This is how we know you, right? The people who are in tune with your content, with your strategies, with your training. For those who are watching that have no idea who you are, right? Have never tuned into any piece of social media from you, have never heard about you. Who is Alexis Valladares? Who would you describe yourself to be? I want you to tell us a little bit about your story, from when you were an agent, how this all came to be, and how you built this amazing platform that you have now.
Yeah, well, I think the story starts, Fern. Back when I was a kid, I always tell the story that I had an unfair advantage growing up. Although my childhood was rough and I witnessed a lot of things that I maybe shouldn't have, growing up and battling through that later on made me realize that those tough times built the character that I have now. And I've really grown an appreciation for my dad later on in my life because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been exposed to the mentality that I have now. My dad was an eight figure, a real eight figure, no social media BS, a real eight figure entrepreneur in the 2000s. He owned over 30 different gym chains and he was very successful, but he let his vices and certain things get in the way of his long lasting success. So I had a lot of good to learn from and a lot of bad to try to avoid. But a lot of people grow up with poor parents, poor situations, and they're never able to unlock that part of their brain that screams abundance, right? When I was 11, 12 years old, I don't remember exactly. We lost it all, went bankrupt, never was able to get it back. So the story really started in my freshman year of high school when I launched my first business. Fast forward, for the next 10 years before I got my license in 2020, I tried everything under the sun. I tried to launch a golf ball brand. I had an auto detailing business that got up to over 30 employees that I don't really ever talk about. Um, I fixed and flipped iPhones. I scaled a couple different businesses to five, seven, 8,000 bucks a month, but I never had the right habits, the right mentorship, the right friends, the right circle, the right influences. And no matter how hard you work, if you don't have those basic principles down packed, you're not going to make money. You're not going to succeed long term. And there's this thing that I always talk about that's called the pain line. I was always like getting by, the account was always on negative, maybe a couple thousand bucks in the worst case scenario, usually always a couple hundred bucks. I'd go out there, wash a car, caddy for a tournament and make the money, get the account out of overdrawn and whatever. It wasn't until 2019, that summer, where I packed my shit. I always lived in Miami, Florida. I packed my stuff and I moved to Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And I stayed there for 6 months in the freezing cold around a bunch of people that were drug addicts, alcoholics. And I was carrying golf bags 14 hours a day, walking 15 miles a day in the mountains, away from my family, where I realized that, I've hit rock bottom. This is not meant for me anymore. I need to make a pivot in my life. I don't know if anybody here has ever considered, I mean, this is going to get fucking deep now, but I don't know if anybody here has ever been in such a dark place where you consider taking your life. But in 2019, I hit that point. I had never really hit that point where I actually considered doing that, right? I felt like a loser. I felt like a failure. I felt like a burden to my family. And I thought that by not being here, it'd be easier for everybody else to move forward. And I wouldn't have gotten to that rock bottom point, Fern, if I didn't push myself to all those different opportunities, all those different failures, if I didn't expose myself to all the lessons that I learned, right? And then I made a commitment, bro. 2020, I also faced, I don't talk about this either, but when I passed my real estate licensing course, my appendix ruptured and I had to do an emergency surgery overnight where I thought I was going to lose my life. It was like kind of pretty close. Like, hey, like if your appendix ruptures and you kind of get your, I don't know what it is, your intestines infected or whatever. Cause like when your appendix ruptures, like toxins, it's like, yeah, man, if you would have waited a couple more hours, you wouldn't be here. So it was like everything happening at once. And then I just made a commitment, bro, to change, to work hard and change and give real estate a 5-year opportunity. And something changed in my demeanor. You know, I started walking into places like knowing that I was already making money. It's like, have you guys ever felt like something you're just destined for? It's going to happen no matter what happens. I would start walking into every training, every opportunity, every office, like acting like I was already making $250,000. And year two, bro, year two, I made 220 grand in GCI, and I built a team that failed as well. I did 350 my second year, and I did just under 500 my third year. And then the coaching thing was born. But
Wow.
to summarize it, not to drag it on, I feel like for you to find the light in your life that you've never found, you have to go to the darkest place ever. And I'm not saying it has to be on the verge of suicide, but I know a lot of people that are ultra successful that say that they would have never found the light if they didn't go that dark, you know?
No, I agree, and I'm glad you went that deep right from the beginning, man. I think you hit a couple of points that we're going to touch on as the questions go on, right? This is a side of you that not everybody knows, right? Everybody sees just the real estate coach, like you're just this unbeatable person on social media, right? Forgetting that you're human as well, and you
Hmm.
have similar struggles, right? And I'll get back to this so we can touch those points.
Definitely want to
Um,
touch on that. Yeah.
100%. Um, question for you, man, right? What main thing? Everybody knows you as the coach who teaches high level communication when it comes to cold calling, right? Everybody runs away from it, man. It's fearful, it's
Mhm.
intimidating. Nobody wants to do it, right? You kind of touched on this a little bit when it comes to mindset, but instead of you running away from it, you actually ran towards it, right? So, like, I want to pick at your brain a little bit. Why cold calling, right? Why didn't you run away from it just like everybody else? And at what point, when you first started doing real estate, did you say, "Yo, like, this is the most effective way of getting business"? Like, tell me a little
Well,
bit about that.
there's two parts to the story. So I couldn't run away from cold calling because I was running away from the person that I was before real estate because I didn't want to be a burden to my family anymore. So whatever I had to do to run away from that person and change myself was what I was going to do. So it's
Mm,
like the fear of, are you more scared of getting rejected by a stranger, or are you more scared of seeing your mom basically look at you with pity because you're such a failure as a 23-year-old grown man? That was what I was running away from. I couldn't bear to see my mom look at me with basically pity. Like I said, it's a shitty feeling as a man to almost have your parents feel bad for you because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in life. So I was running away from that person. And when I got in the industry, obviously I was asking around, does social media work? Can I buy leads? Can I do open houses? What path can I take? And the first path that they offered was like, hey, just call everybody that you know. You're a pretty tapped in guy. You have a lot of friends. And I started, tapping into my SOI, texting people, calling people. But you forget to say the part of the story where I was the last person to graduate in my high school class. I dropped out of college. I only had 8 credits, and everybody that knew me as that big failure, that big loser. I was never a formal person. I would always post pictures with alcohol and blunts in my ear. Like I was smoking weed every day, drinking and partying. Like if I called you and told you, hey, let me sell your house at 23 years old, everybody's gonna tell me to fly a kite. Social media, I have no brand, I have no credibility, no social proof. So someone sat me down and was like, look, bro, if you want to make $250,000 your first year, because it was my goal and I was set on it, you got to call strangers that don't know who you are. And in my head, it clicked. I was like, I'm going to call strangers and I'm going to reinvent myself. They don't know Alexis from 23 years ago. They don't know my failures. They don't know my failed businesses. They don't know that I'm an idiot. They don't know that I don't know anything about real estate. They're going to meet this new version of myself. I'm going to partner up myself with the best lenders, the best attorneys, and get the best education. I'm going to obsess over becoming the best. And I'm going to show them who this new person is. And for me, bro, again, since I was like, yeah, does my blood kind of get nervous? Like my veins get nervous when I get on a cold call and I get no? Even to this day, it happens. Like when I cold call in front of the team and I get rejected for 1 second, like I get that feeling of like, fuck, that's really embarrassing. But I've just kind of learned to push through it because I'm still running away from that guy. And that guy, that person still runs after me every single day, bro. I'm getting a tattoo. I'm doing a full session next weekend where I kind of have like an angel and a devil kind of crossing paths on my chest. Because every day I wake up, bro, I feel like that guy is still trying to chase me down and re-enter my mind, re-enter my body. So like some of you guys might think like, well, your life is so perfect, bro. You live in Miami, you drive a really nice car, you play paddle every day. And it's like, I fight demons harder than you can ever imagine every day in my mind. I just can't go back to that person because of my parents and my family. Like at first I wanted to buy the nice car, wear a nice watch, but the things that push me further now are the feelings that I had when I was like 22, 23. I'm telling you guys, if you guys ever get to that rock bottom point where someone that you care about so much looks at you with a face of pity, it'll change your whole life. Maybe you have kids. If your kids look at you with this face of disappointment, that'll light a fire under your ass. But for me, Fern, I was just running away from that person. And I quickly realized that a lot of realtors stay trusting the market or circumstances because of their inability to speak and communicate. And I figured that I don't have to be the best contract person. I don't have to be the best technical marketer. If I know how to communicate and sell, if I know how to book meetings and convert those meetings into clients and actually serve people, I'm going to come out on top no matter whether the market's good or bad or whether Biden or Trump or the president. I'm going to win because I'm relying on myself and my skills. And the easiest way to get those skills is to embrace the hard conversations which come from cold calls. Everything else becomes easy after that, bro.
I love that you said that, man. I think it was, well, one, to go back to your point, right? You mentioned a unfair disadvantage, right? But growing up with like entrepreneurial parents and stuff like that, I think it's good that you show this side of yourself, right? That people get to see a side that maybe they didn't know was there. And you reminded me of two things that I want to share, right, with everybody who's watching and who's here. One, it's like when people ask you, rate yourself from 1 through 10. Where are you right now, right? And people always say, right, like, oh, I'm a 10. I'm good. I'm great. But when you say 10, it leaves no room for growth, right? It just means that you're perfect. There's nothing wrong with you, and that's just it. Wherever you're at, that's where you stay. You refuse to believe that. You refuse to believe that you're a 10. You on a scale 1 through 10, before I get to my next point here, where would you say you are, bro? Like from 1 through 10, where are you right now?
Bro, like here's the secret, right? The friends that I have that make a lot of money and myself, I don't ever give myself enough credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you were the one that told me the other day, we had that quick conversation over voice note. You're like, bro, like a lot of us would kill to have your life. But I don't count the wins, bro. I'm always just trying to get better. If you ask me how good I am at what I do, I'm like, realistically, I know that I'm good at it, but I feel like I'm a one or a two because there's people out there that are not smarter than me, making 10 times more money than me, and their parents are sitting at home retired, traveling the world. And my parents aren't doing that yet. So if you ask me, I'm probably a three or four. And that it's a pro and a con, right? Because then that's the devil side of you that comes out that bashes you, criticizes you, you know, lets the self-doubt creep in. Because I wake up every single day and I'm like, am I good enough to do this? Who am I to be teaching these people? What have I done to teach these people? There's that side, right? And then that side also allows you to push yourself and keep growing, keep learning, keep personally developing. And that's why I always stay winning, bro. Year over year, like if you look at it just from a year over year, my income has doubled every single year, you know, almost doubled, right?
Mm-hmm. I think
Especially in this new business. We did a little bit over 500,000 last year and we're close to 1 million this year. You know, if you look at it on that piece of paper, in 5 years, where's my income going to be? But I don't count those wins, bro. I give myself gratitude, and I really lately have been like just like thanking God a lot because I do live my dream life. Everything that I asked for 5 years ago has happened 5 times over. But now it's time to take it to a new level, not for me, but for the people around me that sacrificed so much when I was younger to get me to where I am now. And the people that invest their money and their time into me, I have to deliver. I'm not a James told me the other day when he was here for July in the mastermind, he goes, "You're not a normal person anymore, bro. You can't afford to feel like shit for a week or a month." And I'm okay carrying that burden, bro. Some people are like, "Are you okay, bro?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm good carrying whatever burden or pressure I got to carry to take care of the people around me. I'm good. I've been in really dark places. I will always get myself out. You will never, ever get a news that Alexis took his life. That's never going to happen because I will always keep fighting for the people around me. But everything comes with a pro and a con, bro. Like sometimes my mind can't go to rest. I go to sleep imagining scenarios of me, cold calling or doing a webinar or speaking on stage. Like 9 to 5ers at 5 o'clock, brain goes off, happy hour. I don't afford that luxury, dog. You know what I'm saying? This is mental warfare every single day, but it's worth it. Getting a text message, a video testimonial. I sit down and I think about the chain effect that what we do has on these people. It changes lives. So it's all worth it, bro. It's all worth it to me.
Yeah, man. You say that, and the first thing that pops to my head, right, is that insane mindset switch. Maybe there's something you can agree with me, maybe not, right? But when you say like I'm a one or a two, I think it's very important to sit down and realize why is it that you're saying that, right? Because it could be two things. It's like I'm a one or a two only because if you think this is great, there's only more to come. Like I have way more potential. Or there's other people who say they're a one or a two because they're just not good enough, right? That's just what they
Well,
think.
let's do this, right? There's two different perspectives. Check this out, right? This is the cool part about mindset. Check this out. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm 28 years old and I make consistently over $70,000 every single month. I am almost 6 feet tall. I am less than 12% body fat. Rank me in the world. What percentile am I in amongst men? And use income as a metric and use body fat as a metric. I can bench 225. I can squat over 300 pounds. Categorize me amongst men 28 to 35 with the metrics that I just told you. I guarantee you it's not going to be 1%. It's going to be 0.00 something 1%. And I want to make a point here. ChatGPT says, let's break this down. Top 1% of US earners start at 6 to 700K a year. So we're over that. Median US male income a year is 50 to 60,000. 12% body fat, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so income, top 0.05% in the world, 0.01%. Body fat, top 5 to 10%. Got to do better there. You're objectively in the top 1% of men 28 through 35 when you factor in income, health, fitness together. So if I stared at this, I can just mentally masturbate every single day and be like, I made it, right? I'm in the top 1%, but I want to be in the top 1% of the 1%. So you compare yourself up or you compare yourself down. But I compare myself to people like fucking Hormozy or Mike. Like it pisses me off when Mike texts me like in the most respectful way because I look at him as like an inspiration. When I send him like my end of the day, hey bro, here's what we did this week, here's what we did this month or whatever. He's like, okay, cool. Like congrats is what I did. I'm like, what? You're not smarter than me, bro. I don't think you're smarter than me. He's working harder than me, which pushes me to that next gear. But most people, like if I compare myself to the average, bro, I'm fucking obviously I can get in this God complex and I can lose my mind. That's what happened to me my first year making six figures. I started doing, what percent of men am I in, da da da, as a 23-year-old making 220 grand. And that's where shit starts spiraling. But right now, I compare myself up. There's not many people to compare yourself from. And again, it's a double-edged sword. Because if you let it go too far, you mess up your brain. You don't show gratitude for how far you've come, and you could spiral. Because we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I was spiraling. I was like out of control, feeling like a failure, feeling like a loser, self-doubt, everything. It's a double-edged sword, bro. You got to figure out how to find a balance between having that mentality where it's going to help you grow and having that mentality where it's actually a cripple.
Yeah. I want to share
But
this
it's
with
called
you,
standards,
man.
bro. It's
And
called standards. And we can talk about standards here in a little bit. When you create new
100%.
standards, those standards don't go away. Baseline level for me is working out 6, 7 times a week, eating right, working as many hours as I can productively and just pushing, 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 pushing. Like the way that I've set my mind to look at goals is completely different than 99% of the people. But that's why you get the 1% result.
Yeah. And I want to share this with you, bro, and then I want to pivot a little bit. Um, one thing that I get from everything that you're saying, which I agree with 100%, right? Because we've talked about it multiple times. Um, I want to share this story with everybody. I don't know if everybody know who Ed Milet is. I think you know, right? Ed Milet. So he told this story about how his father was like an alcoholic, right? And the only person that there was a person who helped him come out of that addiction, which was another alcoholic, right? But the point to this was the one thing that disqualified that man who helped his dad was the only thing that qualified him to actually be able to help him. What do I mean by that? Right? Everybody thinks that you just came into the business, you fucking crushed it, you got an insane, mentality, nothing breaks you, everything's perfect. That's not true. You go through the exact same things everybody has, if not more, because there's more pressure on your shoulders, right? There's more heaviness. So I know there's somebody watching, right, at the end of the screen, and they're in this pit. They're in this feeling of like, fuck, I just can't get to that next level. I can't seem to figure it out, right? I don't know what systems would work, what doesn't, where do I start? So if an agent, was in a position, right? Because we put ourselves in these positions all the time. I'm insane, bro. So I sit here and I go, okay, my family's kidnapped. Like they got him, right? And the only way I can get him back is they told me I got to get a listing in the next 30 to 45 days. If not, like it's over with. If an agent came here with a situation like that, I mean, they just had to get a listing in the next 30 to 45 days, right? One, is that even possible? Two, what would you suggest that agent do in order to make this happen?
Well, I think the most important principle to understand is like the mindset. If you can't stay in a good state of mind, you're not going to be able to focus on whatever you have to focus on technically, scripts, objections, cold calls to get that listing. Right. I think most people know what to do in the essence, like on the very superficial level. They don't ever get to a place where they're focused enough to do the activity long enough where they become good enough at it to actually get a result. So I would say number one is like, what do you want to achieve? Why are you achieving it? And who can help you get there faster? Because if you remain in a pack of people that are always thinking positively and always, nurturing your mindset, you're going to stay in the activity long enough to get good enough to get the result you want. Right. But for me, it was like the rock bottom, bro. I just seeked mentorship. For me, it was like, I'll do whatever it takes. And I meant it to get the results I want. So not only did I split commissions in the beginning, 50-50 if I had to, I just looked for the top producers in my market and I cut off all the distractions, bro. But people, look, Fern, I coach people for a living. My team and I talk to 200, 300 people a month. Everybody says they want it, but nobody actually needs it. I needed it. You understand what I'm saying? There's a difference between a want and a need. Once things get hard, if you want it, you're going to stop. If you need it, you're going to go through whatever you have to go through to get it. Is it possible to get a listing in the next 30 days? 100%. It's also possible to go 12 months without. I went 14 months without. You got to commit to the process anyways. If you put it, that's the mistake most agents make. I need a deal in the next 90 days, if not I quit. You're already setting yourself up for failure. I told myself 5 years. And realistically, it should be 10 years. You should commit to this for 10 years because whether you're an agent, commercial, residential, fix and flip, buy and hold, this is the path to wealth. If you just commit to it for 10 years, you go to masterminds, you go to events, conferences, you get into coaching groups, eventually you'll be right one time. And that's what people don't understand. You don't have to be right 100 times. You got to be right one time. You got to hit the right team one time. You got to get in the right coaching program one time. You got to watch the right YouTube video and then follow that mentor one time. People have like this clock where they're like, well, I can't go to different brokerages more than 3 times. Why not? I did 7. I can't switch teams. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? You stay making no money? You understand what I'm saying? It's the mentality, Fern. It has nothing to do with the technical part because once you get in the right group and the right environment, the technical part is going to be there. And if you have enough focus, you can pursue that with result. But people are on TikTok, people are on Instagram, people have really bad friends. People are making too many emotional decisions. They're not willing to cut off those friends. They're not willing to change that spouse that's ruining their life. They're not willing to stop listening to that family member that doesn't have the results that they want. Like if we really deep dive, Fern, if we sat here for 5 hours and started talking and I wrote down all the sacrifices that I make to this day, okay, it makes sense now why he lives that life. Okay, cool. Sunday, I woke up in Tampa. I was staying on the water on the beach. I stayed out to the casino 3, 4, 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I never gamble. It's like, fuck it, let's gamble, let's have some fun. I was gonna stay Sunday and go to the beach, just chill. I woke up, opened the curtain, saw the water, and that mode just goes on. Now, fuck that, bro. You don't deserve it. Go home. Got in the car, drove home, and got to work. Like that's a sacrifice, bro. Because could I stay on the beach and just chill? Fuck yeah, bro. Of course I can. I'm in the 1%. But I said, no, fuck that. We got to get to work, bro. People are going to count on me on that Monday call to show up with information that's going to help their business grow. That's why they invested into me. I got to get to work. And those have been thousands of sacrifices that I've made over the last 5 years to get here. Nights out, trips, birthdays, events, weddings. I've lost friends. The one person in this life that I thought I would be his best man, my best friend as a kid, I'm not his best man for his wedding next year because we lost touch, bro. He'd call me in the middle of work and we're not on the same page. We're not doing the same thing. So I wouldn't answer. You know, you're going to have to give certain things up if you want the success, if you
Let
need the
me,
success.
if I can, bro. Sorry to cut you off there, but this leads to my next point, right? I think we juggle a lot, man. As you know, you're running a very successful business here, right? Um, Business is just a big web of components that need to be a specific way in order for the business to function. Like it needs to be in a specific place, systems, processes, and that already itself is challenging, right? It takes a mental toll. It's heavy on your shoulders. And apart from that, there's a lot of things that happen in our personal life, things that get in the way that you don't count on, right? They just appear. It just shit happens. So when it comes to that, you mentioned a little bit of it, sacrifices, right? And that led me to boundaries, right? So curious, what boundaries, if you have any, right, do you set upon yourself and upon family and friends? You touched on a little bit, but I want you to go deeper into that. What do those boundaries look like if you want to become, 1% of the 1%?
Well, number one, I'm going to tackle what you said first about things happening, right? If you just face reality and you understand that your mom's going to die, your dad's going to die, tragedy is going to happen, life's going to suck, most of life is painful. If you just sit down and look in the mirror and say, I'm going to go through pain at one point in time, let me just get really good at managing it and still being able to keep myself together, that's part number one of the equation. Like that goes through my mind all the time. How am I going to deal with tragedy? How am I going to deal with pressure situations? Right? It becomes so easy to handle the day-to-day personal bullshit that comes up when like your metric is like, okay, if someone dies today, I'm ready to handle it. As kind of cutthroat as that sounds, why? Because people rely on me. My grandma relies on me. My sister and my mom, if something happens, they rely on me. So I can't be here, wiping or like feeling sorry for myself and not protecting and providing for them. That's number one. You got to get real with that things are going to happen. Remind me the second part of your question. Oh, boundaries, boundaries. You listen, bro. Everything that we do in this business is energy. Your state of mind, if it is not protected, it is not focused. If it's not focused, you're not going to see results. So if you are willing to engage in conversations with people that are not on the same path as you, if you are willing to entertain negative thoughts, your brain is like a computer. Everything that it sees and hears, it will download. So when I talk to my mom is a very negative person at heart, and I love her to death. So we have boundaries. Don't talk to me about negative. If you have a problem, tell me the problem. I'll give you the solution. Don't complain. That is my rule of thumb. That's why I don't talk to my friends, bro. My old friends from high school. Oh, bro, this day at work, this was rough and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But, bro, you chose that life, dog. When I told you in 2017 to read this book, Think and Grow Rich, and Rich Dad Poor Dad, you wiped your ass with what I was fucking telling you. So go to your 9 to 5, stick through it, and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all sacrifice and boundaries. And listen, bro, do I sometimes kind of get in my feelings and wish that I was still with the girl that I used to be with that I really, really loved, that wasn't the right girl for me? Do I still wish I was best friends with some of my boys from high school that I loved to death? Of course. But for me, the trade-off is important. Getting to where I want to get to for the people around me is more important. So 100% there's standards, there's boundaries, and there's things that I'm just not going to engage in, bro, because like James told me, I'm not fucking normal anymore and I'm on a bigger mission than myself. So I have to sacrifice certain things. But that doesn't mean you have to. Very clear, bro. Like not everybody wants this life. You don't need this life. You can make it with 200, 300 grand a year, make some good investments, and you don't have to go through the shit I'm going through. You understand? But I want to get to, I don't know, $1 million a month in income in the next 5 years. And to get there, you have to be an extremist. But if you don't need that, you don't have to be an extremist. You know what I'm saying? So I want to clear that up too, because some people are like, well, that's so extremist. It is. $1 million a month is also extreme. Extreme results, extreme sacrifice.
Let me ask you this, bro. You mentioned, the accolades, the accomplishments you want to get to, and what it takes to get there. Obviously, I think we've heard lies when people say like, "Hey, everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur." That's not true,
Mm-mm.
right? Does everybody have the potential to? Yeah, 100%. If you really stick to it and you connect with the right people and you really and indulge yourself into what you need to know to get there, right? But not everybody does because it comes with a lot of discipline. I hear you mention the insane number of $1 million per month, which leads me to think about success, right? I think it's super important, bro. If you can define for the people watching, how does one know when they've become successful? Does one even feel that transition of like, oh fuck, like I went from this and now I'm here, I feel successful. Like when do people know they've made, a massive amount of change and that they're successful? What does that even mean to you?
Well, I think the way that I categorize success is the impact that you have on other people. There's some people in this world that don't have as much money as others, but they're still wildly successful because they have a positive impact on other people. That's how I categorize success. I don't categorize it by how much money you make, how much money you have in the account. How much do you do for other people? That's it. Very simple
I
answer.
love that. I love that. So
So you don't need to make 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand a month to be successful. If you are a realtor that does 4 rentals a month and you help a new realtor do 2 rentals a month, you're successful because you're helping another human being in the pursuit of happiness, right? That's what I categorize successful as. And listen, bro, there's some days where I don't feel successful, right? But that's the importance of practicing grounding, gratitude, meditation, like just putting your both feet on the ground and like understanding you're living through all the prayers that you once had and quantifying the impact. I got to sit down sometimes and really just pump myself up and be like, dog, you're helping hundreds of people. There are thousands of people that see my reels and YouTube videos that I don't even know about that close 3 more deals that month because of my reels or my YouTube video. And that has a trickle down effect and they're able to buy food for their kids. You understand what I'm saying?
mhm.
Sometimes I got to sit down in my chair and quantify that because sometimes you just want more and more and more and more and more. And it becomes about materials and we get trapped in that. And it's not about that, bro. Success is about how many human lives are you moving forward because of your efforts.
I'm very happy that you shared that, man, because a lot of people they're stuck on GCI, they're stuck on volume, they're stuck on the price points that they're in when it comes to their market. And I'm very happy that you touched base on that. I think we forget, and especially you in your situation. I think I shared this with you,
Yeah.
and hopefully you don't mind me sharing it with them, right? The people who are here with you and are your students and tap into your content is because they confided and trusted enough in you and your leadership. They believe you, right? It's like I told you that John Maxwell quote, right? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And I think that's super important that they get to see that from you. So thank you one for being vulnerable, man. And one thing I wanted to share as well, and I'm guilty of this. When I first started as an agent, I was the agent who came in and said, "Hey, point me to whatever strategies I need to do on a daily basis, A through Z. What do I need to do from the moment I wake up to the moment I need to go to sleep, and for the rest of the year? I want to make $1 million soon, quick." With forgetting that it's almost like the gym, right? It's 80% what you eat and 20% what you do at the gym. Same thing with business. 80% of it is self-belief and determination and discipline, and
Mhm.
20% of it is execution, right? So you're a mentor now, bro. So you teach, people not only the strategies that work, but the mindset shifts they need to make to get to that next level. Um, but I'm curious, like, what is the hardest truth that maybe you got from a mentor, right? At some point that maybe you weren't ready for at that time, but now that you're in this position, you found out that it was super important to know.
The hardest truth that I've learned from a mentor or just in general on this journey.
A mentor is anybody who in the journey from a mentor, just the hardest truth that you came across that maybe you weren't ready for at that time, but now you're like, okay, this is what it was for.
Bro, to be honest, when I entered the real estate space, I was in a really good mindset. I was in the mindset of like, I don't care about the results. I'm going to do whatever I have to do process wise, self development wise to get the results. And that's why I got them relatively quickly, bro, because I was willing to put in the work. I guess one of the hard truths about, and very important that you understand it, but most of you guys are going to have to go through it, is that there's never going to be a moment where you can finally then say, like, okay, I can be happy now. Like, not enough money is going to make you feel like, okay, I can be happy now. Not a new car, not a new watch, not a new house. I've done all of the above. I've gotten the car that I wanted, the watch that I wanted. I bought a house in 2022. I put $250,000 into it, remodeled it, basketball court in the backyard, man cave, the whole nine. Season tickets to the favorite football team, everything that I could have imagined, private driver, first class flights. If you don't search for the answers within, you're not going to get them. I used to think that speaking on that big stage and getting 100 people to take pictures with me was going to be the answer to my happiness. And the answer was always right here in my heart, just knowing that I'm doing something better for humanity every single day. Do we want to make more money? Yes. Do I still want to wear a nice watch? Yes. Do I still want a Lamborghini in 3 years? Yes. No problem. But the happiness can happen right now. If you hop in the role play room and you help one of our students grow and overcome an issue, you should be happy about that. You moved humanity forward, and things don't happen overnight. And that's why the compound effect is so powerful, because we don't see it happening. But if you do it little by little over time, boom, there's the effect, bro. So the hard truth for me was like, laying in my brand new fucking remodeled house, Fern, with a Rolex on my wrist and a fucking Mercedes and Tesla outside and, 6 figures in my account. I was like, okay, I'm going to be happy now. And it was actually one of the saddest moments of my life, bro, because I was like, I feel emptier than ever. I was drinking a lot. I was smoking a lot of weed. And I was around people that cared about that shit. But now, although I go through rough patches because I'm just trying to challenge myself so hard, I feel happy because I know that I'm making an impact. I know where my values are. I know where my character lies. And I know that I don't have to wait to have an SVJ in the garage or $1 million in my account to say I fucking made it. You know what I'm saying? I made it, bro. We all made it. We're here, we're alive, and we're worried about moving forward. We're not worried about a health issue. We're not worried about, hopefully not, right? We're not worried about things like that on a daily. We're worried about the pursuit of happiness, which to me is the hard truth. We already made it, bro. We're in this circle. We're in this group. We're on Earth. We're in America. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we already made it. So that was a hard truth for me, bro. I kept delaying my happiness until this happened. And when that happened, I realized that wasn't happiness.
We talked about this too, man, and you're making me think. I just recently, saw, I don't remember what I saw it at, but it was basically like a movie there that was basically about war, right? But there's a specific clip that resonated with the business side and the business life that we have here, right? And it's like a soldier, he goes to war and he follows protocol and does what is expected of him, right? Just because that's the norm. But a warrior goes above and beyond. Why? Because he knows why he's at a war. He knows why he's fighting and what he's fighting for. And what I'm getting from you, man, I think it's very important to know the why, the big why, the reason for why you're doing it. Why is it important? What happens if it doesn't happen? Are you willing to settle for that? Right? So the
Oh,
difference between a warrior and a soldier, right? So it's like, which one do you want to be? And I like that you said that, man. And not to quote John Maxwell again, but in his book, he also mentions, right? It's I think the book is called something, Finding the Leader Within You 2.0. But he mentions that the biggest thing that we can do as leaders and the way that we lead the people under us is to ask them what do they want to accomplish before we ask them what type of person do you want to become, because the person that you become will ultimately just everything else will follow, right? So you are prioritizing relationships, you're prioritizing, the people that are coming to you and asking for help, you're prioritizing them, and everything else is just following behind, right?
it follows, bro.
So it just follows. And you mentioned the support system that you have behind you, right? It's very important. Some people you got to leave out, some people you got to bring in, right? And in us, it becomes the brokerage. You mentioned earlier in the conversation, who cares if you move to a different brokerage 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, right? Some people are tripping about twice. You've done it 7 times. So, question: how important is it? Let's just say for a newer agent, is it really important what brokerage they choose? Can they just start with one and it doesn't matter, just as long as they get experience? And also for a seasoned agent, if they've been in the business 5 years plus, right? Is it even worth switching? Should they just stay and it's just the strategies, or how important is it to pick the environment that they're in within the
Yeah. I
brokerage?
think it's everything. And I think if you're stagnant, if you're a 10-year agent and you're not doing 30-40% more production year over year, you should consider a change. If you're a new agent, and you shouldn't, as a new agent, you shouldn't want to wait 6 months to see if the brokerage that you're at is a right fit. Do you see people around you closing deals? And do you see those people taking time to show you how to close those deals? Yes or no? If no, move. Switch. There's no rule that says you can't switch a brokerage 10 times, 8 times. There's no rule that says you can't go on a team, leave a team, join a team. Dude, I made so many moves in those 3 years. I left the team, started a team, joined the team, left the team, KW, EXP, out of EXP, back to EXP. And now I found the Wolfpack, which is where I feel like I can bring my agents. I feel comfortable bringing my agents over here because of the support that I find. If I ever come across a day where, and I'll be honest, if I ever come across a day where I don't feel like my agents are supported here, I'll leave. Plain and simple. But the standard of the Wolfpack, to my understanding, won't let that happen. Right? But if I don't bounce around, go left, go right, and figure out what's good for me and now my agents, how am I ever going to figure out what's the best? That concept doesn't make sense to me, man. I think people, again, Fern, what are you running away from? You know, are you running away from the fear of what other people are going to tell you about being a brokerage? hopper, or are you going to run away from the fear of someone telling you no on a cold call, or are you running away from that person you never want to fucking see again? Your old self. And I'm always running away from that person, bro. So anything else, any other judgment, and listen, bro, people are going to judge you no matter what. You might as well do something big enough. You're going to get talked about whether you do it, whether you don't do it, whether you sit on the sideline, whether you play the game, whether you move the brokerage, whether you stay in the brokerage. They're going to talk. And they're just projecting their own insecurities. If you're going to give them something to talk about, it might as well be big, bro. When I joined,
1000%.
when I became a coach, oof, the judgment, the judgment. What's up now, man? You know what I'm saying? Nowhere near where we want to be, but I know realtors that judge me. Oh, you're gonna go coach. You're gonna leave your $500,000 a year income behind. Yeah, man. Have fun on Saturdays. Doing open houses. Cool. And no disrespect to people that do open houses on Saturdays, but I've told each and every one of you here and everyone watching, there should be a next level. Start as a realtor, then you become a team leader, then you build an operation, and then eventually, now with social media and AI, you can go nationwide and build a team nationwide. That's the ideal process. But they're gonna talk shit no matter what, bro. You got to do what's right for you, and you got to move fast. Everybody, Fern, is like slow stepping, dude. Well, let's see how things go. No, if things don't work out in the first couple weeks of where I'm at, I'm out. Next. Same thing with an employee. I set the expectation, I set the standard. If you don't want to follow it one time, you're out. Boom, next. Done, bro. That's how it's got to be. But again, back to the principle. Do you want to grow that fast and that big? Everything comes with a trade-off, bro. I think a
100%.
lot of people would not be able to handle the amount of pressure that me and some of my mentors handle. You know what I'm
And
saying?
that's what
So
we talked about it, right? It's not everybody's gonna make it to that level. And I shared this with you too. Like sometimes you get that what we like to call imposter syndrome, right? Like you are there, you just don't feel like you are because
all the time, bro.
there's unhidden potential there, right? And not everybody's gonna make it. And before I let you go here, I have two more things that I want to ask you, right? And one of them being, I want to get real for a second. I think we all know that if you're a struggling agent, right, and you're frustrated and you haven't found the right systems or processes or right support to get to the next level, the first question you need to ask yourself is, are you doing enough, right? And I'll compare it to, for example, my daughter. She'll come to me and she'll say, "Hey, Daddy, I need help with my homework." My first question is, have you tried it on your own yet? Have you attempted something, right? So it's like, what have you done to say, hey, I just can't figure it out? Because some people just want handouts. Some people just want that help automatically, which is nothing wrong with it, right? But it's like, it's about going out there and finding the right mentor now, right? Who can actually teach me these things? So
Mhm.
for someone, man, and I want to be real here for a second, who can't afford to get coaching, right? Because that's a realistic goal. And do you have free training for them? And if you do, where can they find it? And how can they leverage that to actually, see dramatic change in their lives?
Well, I think number one, if I'm being really honest, everybody has money for coaching because you can start somewhere and it doesn't have to be at a high ticket. It could be at a very low ticket, but that money's being spent somewhere else. And since you say you don't have money for it, you're going to keep spending it on bullshit instead of on yourself. That's number one. Number two, I'll send you a link to all of my scripts and over 20 hours of training that you can put on the description of the video that they can click on it and get it for free. I have a school community that has over 5,000 people in it that I put trainings in all the time. I do webinars on a weekly basis. I post 3 videos on YouTube on a weekly basis. And we're open to talk to you, even if you don't have money right now, and create a game plan for you. Like I'm willing to put my assets on a Zoom call for an hour, even if you're not going to pay anything, so we can create a game plan so you can go and execute it. But what happens for 90% of the people don't go and execute it. They don't go do it because they don't need it, bro. We got 75 applications for the coaching program yesterday on our webinar, which I'm super thankful for. And everybody's answers are just like mediocre. A high percentage of them. They're not trying, Fern. So if you're one of those that wants to try, I'm going to try harder to give you as much as I can for as little as I can to get you at a point where you can then really tap into an inner circle, a group, a community. Because having that daily support in the role play room, in the cold call room, having access to calls like this one on a weekly basis, it keeps you in that fresh perspective, that fresh mindset. You have fresh tactics that are working. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's everything, bro. Fern, how do you think we're gonna hit $1 million this year as a coaching company? How much money do you think I've invested into coaching in the last year?
Bro, it's countless. Witnessing it firsthand, right?
I mean,
It's just insane.
you're on my team, so
Yeah.
not only investing into coaching, but investing into consulting, employees, ads, right? We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a trade-off to get here this fast. But people And it's part of the mindset. That's why it's so important to get into a group of people that think differently and think about money in a different way. Because if you didn't have the unfair advantage I had, you think about money in a completely different way than I do. You don't think about it the way that I do. I want to trade every single dollar for time. I want to give you money to buy back my time and focus on higher leverage activities that can move the lever faster and make me more money with little time. But everybody else didn't grow up around rich parents, didn't see the way my dad operated, 30 gyms at a time, and they want to trade, they want to keep money and give away time. Oh, I'd rather go drive to the barber shop and get a haircut and spend that time doing it. Or let's make it more simple. I'd rather go to the grocery store, bring the food, package the food, clean the food, cook the food, clean the plates, and eat to save fucking. You're not even saving money. I just went to go buy meals, Fern. $8 a meal. Perfect macros. You get it, you heat it up, you eat it. But people are willing to trade the thing that they cannot create more of, which is time. It's the essence of making money. You want to buy back as much of your time as you can and focus that time that you've bought back on the highest leverage activities that are going to move your business forward the fastest, bro. That's the unfair advantage. And if you don't surround yourself around the 1%, you're going to think like the 99%. 99% of people don't perceive time that way. It's very simple. Money is infinite. Being printed, piece of paper. It's like a piece of paper. There's infinite. Time, every single second that ticks off the clock is finite. We'll not get it back. So when I ask somebody, if you were able to pay, I don't know, call it 10 grand to get to your goal 2 years faster, would you do it? Oh no, 10 grand, that's a lot of money. It's like, man, get creative for a second. You know what I'm saying? Get creative for a second. And we're the king. This program, me and James are the king of that because we are happy to work with you despite you not having all the money up front. Some of my students know damn well that I've worked with them and they put in the work, they get the deals closed, the balance gets taken care of, not an issue. Not an issue. And most coaches aren't willing to do that shit, bro. And I'm sure that's why a lot of you guys resonate with me because I care. I've been there. I've been in the Uber car. I've done DoorDash. I've done Postmates. I've washed cars. I've sold water bottles on the side of the street. I've carried fucking signs on the side of the street for $5 an hour. I've done all that shit. So I get it. But the least you can do in return as an agent is put in the work.
I love that, bro. I have so many questions. I have so many things that I want to ask you, right? We just don't have enough time, but I think you did
Time, bro.
a
It's all
made
about
made
time.
made a great exactly. You made a great example, man, and you spoke about a lot of subjects that really hit home, right? From mindset to boundaries to limiting beliefs, discipline, and ultimately, man, I think anybody who's watching here, the biggest takeaway for me at least is there's absolutely no excuses, especially in the time and place that we live in right now. If you don't know something, you have technology literally at your fingertips that it can literally break down everything. You just broke down the real life time in ChatGPT and you have all sorts of strategies and people who all you have to do is just press a button that says follow on social media and you'll be flooded with their content. So many things that you can learn from even free content, just people don't implement, people don't want to put in the work, right? But then they say
Mhm.
that it's unfair, right? That it's just not easy to do these things. Well, yeah, fuck it, it's not easy if you're not doing anything, right? So one thing I want to leave these people off with, or whoever's watching this as well, is I have a question for you, and it's not necessarily real estate related, right? But I just want to know where your mind's at, and I
Mhm.
want you to share as honestly as you possibly can. If everything, bro, everything got stripped away, right? The academy, right? Your platform, like there was no Alexis Valladares. That's it. What's one thing that you want your students to leave off with? What's the main important thing that you want to share with these people? And it's like, hey, if I'm no longer here, this is what I want you to take away.
Damn. One thing. I mean, it's gonna be super cliche, but if I were to go back in time and sit down with the 14-year-old version of myself that was slinging chargers and candy in school, and you would have told him, hey man, in 10 years you're gonna make $1 million a year, and you're gonna have an impact on thousands of people, I would have been like, nah, man, you're full of shit. I would have told him like, look, bro, I want to do business, but I'm never gonna get there. So what I leave you with is if you figure out a way to believe in yourself and you don't need anybody else to believe in you, you can go as far in this life as you want to, man. Because do I want to say that some people believed in me along the way? Yeah, but the truth is, man, like even my mom, bro, lost hope after 10 years, Everybody doubted me. And they doubted me because of they had my best interest in mind. They're like, dude, this is not working for you. You're not good enough, right? So no matter who you are, how talented you are, if you figure out a way to focus and just believe in yourself and let the fire burn a little bit longer, you'd be really surprised as to how far you can take it.
I
And
think
that's me
that,
being honest, bro. Like,
yeah, bro, that
fuck the
was,
YouTube video, fuck anything else, bro. It's like now you see this guy that's super talented that like can rip a YouTube video off the dome, bro. I'll do a 2 hour YouTube video, no script, make it really good. I'll go speak on stage and move 1,000 people. But this guy didn't exist 6 years ago, 7 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
I was this introverted, depressed, didn't have control of my mind, didn't have control of my emotions, carrying golf bags. I was a nobody in this life, bro. But
Yep.
something switched. I got to rock bottom. I got to that really dark place and I said, you know what? I'm going to fucking prove everybody wrong. And that was my fuel for a while. It's okay for you to use that as fuel for a while. And I just believed it, bro. You couldn't tell me otherwise. I was going to either die on the way here or I was going to get here. And now I have even bigger goals. And you're either going to see me dead because of whatever caffeine overdose or I will get to my goals. I will get to the stages. I will get to having the family put together the way that my parents never had it put together. I will get to having agents making millions of dollars because of my coaching. I will get there, bro, over my dead body. Either that or over my dead body.
No,
And
we
nobody
know
can
you'll
tell me
get there.
otherwise, bro. Yeah.
100%. And if I could throw my 2 cents in just to end it off, man, uh, if I can share anything with anybody and learning from, our time together and seeing you behind the scenes, right? The main important thing that I would say to somebody who's at the end of this screen is contemplating getting mentorship or partnering up with somebody to help them get to the next level. One, there's no shame in that, right? There's no nothing you need to think about. You actually need that. You need people who already got to where you want to get to for you to be able to get a roadmap to get there as well, right? And the way to pick somebody is if you can be friends with that person, besides in real estate, don't fucking pick that person to learn from, right? Because they may have the money that you want, they may have all the accomplishments that you want, but you also have to study them as a person, as a human being. Are they shit bags, or are they people that you can actually sit down and have a conversation like this with, right? I think that's super important. And again, if anybody who watched this video who felt frustrated before you got here, who contemplated, am I good enough? Should I stay in real estate? Should I leave? Should I seek help? Am I in the right brokerage? I just hope that they saw this video. They got to hear you a little bit on how you mentor these students. I'm a testament of that. You've helped me grow tremendously in my career as well. I know a lot of people who are watching this, they feel the same way. Uh, that you leave this video with clarity, and below I'm going to just link all the information that they need from you to get in contact with you if they want to partner up with you to better themselves. But I don't know if you have anything else that you want to say to the people
Yeah, man.
before.
It's like, I can't tell you right now that if you're watching this video, I'd be a good fit for you, or if the Wolf Pack or if my program would be a good fit for you. But the most expensive thing, as cliche as it sounds, that you can own in this world is a closed mind. Have conversations, go out there and explore different people, find people that resonate with you, that are good fits for you. I might not be that guy. Maybe Fernando might not be that guy. But if you don't start proactively looking for people that are better than you and being open minded to different perspectives, you're going to stay stuck. And there's nothing worse than staying stuck. So I would just say if you feel like I could resonate with you and that we could help, let's have a conversation and let's see what we can do to help you. That's it.
Brother, thank you so much for your time. I really
Yeah, dude.
appreciate
No,
it.
look, I really want to tell you that here's the thing, Fern. When I'm like on the road, and I told James we got to do this more often. Like when I'm on podcast to podcast and speaking event to speaking event, I'm reminded of how far I've taken this thing. And when I'm like in the dungeon, waking up and just doing my own thing and just putting in the work, I forget how far this has come and how far we can take it. So today was a great reminder, like, holy shit, bro. Like my 14-year-old self wouldn't have believed this, bro. He wouldn't believe how far we've come. And it's not about me, bro. Like literally, I think the last few months I've had like this ego death where I just want it to be about people. Like I just want it to be about like today, James is moving into his apartment, bro. He bought a new car like 3 months ago. He just moved into his new apartment. And that for me, like it makes me want to fucking cry, bro. The fact that James called me a year and a half ago and was like, I'm a struggling realtor. I don't know where to go in life. And we helped him get to a better place in life. That for me is everything. It's success, bro. And we're all capable of doing that. I'm nothing special. I'm just dedicated, I'm focused, and I'm relentless, bro. It's it. So
If I
thank you
can,
for
if I
reminding
can,
me. Thank you for
yeah.
reminding me of how much further we have to go as a unit. And everybody that's on this call, some of you guys might have your cameras off, cool, all good. Let's keep rocking and rolling. Let's finish the year strong. And just know that you got a group of leaders that really care about you. This is not about a dollar figure. Um, this is not about money. This is about something far greater than that. So thank you guys for being here, for listening. And Fern, thank you again